Welcome, guys. It's nice to see so many people from around the world. It's really good. So, first timers, welcome on board. So, today we're going to look at direct question essays. Okay, so by the end of this webinar, you will be able to understand a direct question essay, plan your essay using a simple structure, use linking expressions to develop your answer, and use a range of collocations related to wealth and happiness. Okay, so as always, we look at the question. So we want to read the question and we want to identify each part. And then we'll underline the key words. So what do you think are the key words in this question? So just type in the chat box, so I'll be able to see. Success, wealth, yeah. Okay, material belongings. Okay, good, measure of success. Okay, let's have a look. So yeah, success measured, wealth, material belongings, and then do you think it's the best measure of success? So best measure of success, and then what makes a successful person? So much debated topic. So you need to decide on your overall response. So let's take a look. So do you think wealth is the best measure of success? So Alexander says exercise and yoga. Well, definitely good. Tran thinks it is. So happiness is. Okay. So what do you think is a measure of success? So you disagree? Happiness, relationships. Okay, let's have a look. So success is not really about being rich, yeah, as most of you said. So we have an expression, money can't buy happiness, so wealth can't buy happiness, okay? So what do you think makes a successful person, in your opinion? What would you say makes a successful person? Okay, happy. Depends on the person, of course. Fulfillment, a Ferrari. Okay, yeah. Okay, let's have a look. So number one there, we could say health. Most of you said that. Yeah, a lot of people have said health. Quality of relationships and contributing to society. So Ferrari's missing off that list, but never mind. We'll have a look at what to do next. So we want a simple structure, okay? So we'll have our introduction. So we're going to do what to the question? Yeah, sky, yeah. So we'll paraphrase the question. Good, and then what will we have then? Okay, so we put in an outline statement there. Yeah, provide a statement. Shane, yeah, good, good. Yeah, Alicia, good. body A. So what are we going to do? We'll directly answer what? Yeah, good. First question. Give a well, before that, okay, good, good, good. Relag, yeah, good. So we'll give a reason. Then we will give relag, yeah, good. Sky, good. Help, yeah, NS. So we'll give an example, okay. Then we'll look at body B. So we'll directly answer the second question, yeah, good. And then same again, we'll give a reason and we'll give an example. Okay, very good. And then we'll have our conclusion. So we will do what in the conclusion? Yeah, we're definitely going to conclude, but what will we do? Yeah, summarize. So Stacey there, yeah, good. Actually, yeah. So we're going to summarize the answers to both questions there. Okay, good. So let's take a look at the introduction. So there's our question. So as a lot of you said, we're going to paraphrase the question and then we'll have an outline statement. So what we can do is change the word form, the voice, and we can use some synonyms and we can change the word order around, okay? Right. So in today's, so see if you can change the word form to material. Celeste, okay, good. Elsa, okay, also good. Good, good. So in today's materialistic world, so it is often argued that wealth, so think of another word. Riches, okay, Emil. Rashath, yeah, Anna, good. Money, okay. What about belongings? Okay, good. Possessions, good, Julie, yeah. Rushala, yeah, good. Sadiq, yeah. Usha, yeah, good. Okay, Oluchi, yeah, good. A sign of a, oh, I gave you that. Okay, my stupid mouse, so successful life. Sky, okay, good, you are ahead of me. Rhea, good, good, good. Elsa. So now we'll have a look at the outline statement. This essay will whether being, okay, wealthy, my mouse again, I'm ahead of you. Okay, good. Celeste, yeah, good, good. Really is the best of success. So what do you think? Different word for measure. Ailsa, yeah, good. Oh, celeb, yeah, that, oh, Caleb, sorry, possibly. Angeli, yeah. So we can say indicator of success. And other factors which, so think about a word that would go with to. Okay, relag, yeah, din, okay, usha, good. So contribute to, now, what are you going to change that to? A successful person. Okay. Being successful, accomplished person. The success of a person. Okay, good. Okay, good. So a person being successful. Okay, good. So some good answers coming in. So let's take a look at the body paragraphs. So we've got our ideas there. Okay. So we want to directly answer the first question. So a good way to do this is to introduce your first point making a concession, so you can use while, okay? So while wealthy people are often seen as successful, okay, I disagree that a person's should be measured by wealth. So what do you think are you going to put in there? Okay, good. Elsa, yeah. So we can put in achievements, okay? Okay, now, what do you think you're going to put next? Okay, Sotrios, okay. Juvie, okay, good. Bushra, good. Very good. Okay, alone. So we're going to give a reason. So this is because money cannot buy happiness, which I believe is a more reliable. So what do you think is going to go in the gap? Cindy, good. Emil, Anna, Moses. Okay, Ifan. Okay, good. Almost. So indication of whether an individual has a good life. So we'll give an example. So think of a phrase you would use. What will you use? Well, we'll keep it simple. So for example, a person may live in a, now, think of a very, very large house. Okay, Anna, good. Cindy, Ailsa. Okay, good. Neil, good. Yeah. So a person may live in a mansion, drive a. Okay, Anna, think of another word for fancy. Okay, Caleb, good. Number of words would go in. Luxury car. And wear something clothes. Well, okay, we've got some examples. So think of the person that makes the clothes. What do we call them? Amy, good. So there's a couple of words that would go in there. So designer clothes, good. Esther, good. Gamleke, good. And yet still be. Now, if we describe a person as being down, what would we say? Or feeling blue, another word. So not quite sad. Begins with a D, but not dejected. Okay, fan, okay. Depressed, okay, good. Caleb, Lucy, Sandra, yeah, okay, good. So we've got an optional point here we could summarize. Therefore, what's going to go in the gap there? Okay, Sky, good. Rishpa, good. Okay, good. Ali, good. Shane. So, despite being wealthy, a person would not be considered successful by most people. Okay, that's good. So, notice the linking words there. So we've got a good range. So while I disagree that, this is because, which, and then for example, and yet, therefore, despite. Verb forms. So we've got the passive there, often seen as, should be measured, would not be considered. And then modals, some may live, cannot buy, would not be considered. So, and then we've got the ing there after the linker, despite being. And then vocabulary. So, yeah, a lot of you got mansion. Yeah, luxury car. We've got a good life, designer clothes. So, very good. Okay, let's move on to the second body paragraph. So, we said that health, quality of relationships, and contributing to society, what we considered a measure of success. So we'll directly answer the second question. So, furthermore, it is that okay. Good. So it is clear that money is not the only that leads to a happy and successful life. Sky is on fire today. Good. Caleb, yeah. Ricardo, Oppo, not quite. Anna, yeah, good. So, factor that leads to a happy and successful life. So, we'll give a reason. So, there's a growing body of research which suggests that other elements play an important okay, good. Ailsa, Sothrius, Simona, good. Role. Okay. Now we're going to give an example. Now we've used, for example, what would you put next? Just to avoid repetition. Okay, Anna, good. Dawn, good. So, for instance, person who has relationships with friends and family. Okay, good. There's a few words that would go in, obviously. Okay. Right, there we go. Loving relationships with friends and family. And something health. Okay, Alpo, such as good. Yeah, so good health. And makes something to society. So what do you make to society? Neo, good. Bushra, yeah. Mustafa, Sky, Rishab, okay. Is likely to feel, okay, good. So again, we'll have another optional summary point. As a result, they would be as successful. Okay. Sky, yeah, good. Okay. Viewed, yeah, there's a few words would have filled the gap nicely. Even if, okay, what's going to go in the gap there? Okay, let's have a look. So particularly wealthy. Okay, good. So we've got a lot of nice linking words. Furthermore, it's clear that there's a growing body of research which suggests that. Okay, for instance, as a result, even if we've got, have a look at the verb forms. So we're using the present simple here. Is likely to feel, has, play, makes. And then we've got the second conditional there because obviously it's an imaginary such situation. Okay, good. And then we've got a lot of collocations there. So loving relationships play an important role, makes a contribution to society. Okay, good health. Okay, so let's have a look at our final paragraph, the conclusion. So we're going to summarize your answers to both of these questions. Okay, now it's very important that you restate your overall response, but You don't want to introduce any new ideas here. So no new ideas in your conclusion. So we've got a transition signal there. So in conclusion, wealth cannot be the best measure of success. Okay. So what are we going to put in the gap there? Does not something happiness? Queenie, Sidra, good. Here, good. Okay. So we can say guarantee happiness. Yeah, Shane, good. Very good. Which many people consider for a successful life. So what do you think will go in there? Shane, yeah, that would work. Yeah, okay, Shane. Yeah. Essential, okay. Sky, yeah, good. In my opinion, okay. What are we going to put there? Cultivate there. So think about what we put in the body. Queenie, yeah, Moses, good. Bushra, okay, good. Relationships. What else? So think about what we put in the body. Second body, okay. Good. And okay, Mustafa, okay, close. Community. Okay. No, I can't see the gap there because my check box is in the way. So I'm going to give you that. All right, we'll have a look at the exam tips. So here's the essay in full. So have a read through it. Okay. So basically it's a band 9 response. We've got 255 words. So it's important to read the question carefully. So obviously there's a number of different question types. So you want to know how many parts the question has. What is the question asking you to do? And in this case, we need to
Oop, I think you might have frozen Stephen. Guys, can you hear me okay? I think Stephen has frozen. but I am still here. So,
Make sure you go through.
I think you're back now, Stephen. There you go. You just cut out for a little
Back.
bit.
Okay. So, yeah, it's important to edit and look at your spelling and grammar errors and give yourself enough time. So, I guess you lost me there for a second, guys. So, it's really important. So, always begin with your task 2. Give yourself enough time to finish and, go over, look for errors, grammar, spelling, those kind of things, so you can make any necessary corrections. Okay. There we go.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Stephen, for our presentation today. Cheers. Yeah, that was great. Really useful presentation on today's topic, the direct question essay. And thank you guys for taking part and providing different answers and vocabulary as well. Some of you are showing some really high-level vocabulary there, so well done. Now, while Stephen's been presenting, I've been helping to answer some of your questions in the Q&A, and I can see that we've got a few more questions that you've put in. If you do have any other questions about today's topic or IELTS in general, you can add them to the Q&A now, and we'll discuss them in a moment, okay? Before we do that, I would just like to do a little bit of promotion for our writing evaluation service, which we offer on our website, IELTSonlinetest.com. If you would like to submit a piece of writing to one of our team of qualified examiners, we can give you an estimated band score and very detailed feedback on your performance in each of the different categories. So this can be a really good way to help you identify any common mistakes that you're making and what you can do to improve your writing score. We offer a similar service with speaking as well, where you can book time with a speaking examiner, do a face-to-face, via Zoom, do a full mock test, and the examiner can give you feedback on your performance as well as a written report making suggestions for how to improve your speaking. So that's available via our website. I've put the links to that in the chat, along with links to our IELTS Explained reading and listening course, which is a series of video lessons focusing on reading and listening. So please take a look at that. If you've got time, that would be great. And yeah, I think we can start looking at some of these questions, Stephen, if you're had a little breather there. Sure. So excellent. Let's see. So I can see some good questions in the chat. Guys, we're going to tackle the ones in the Q&A first. So if you can add your questions to the Q&A, we'll discuss these ones first, okay? First question here from Win, which is, there are several topics that I don't have any idea about. What happens if I give wrong ideas for that topic? Is that okay, or should I be worried about giving kind of, if I don't know anything about the question topic?
Well, I mean, the best thing to do is to put something on the paper rather than nothing. But the problem you have there is if you're off topic, then it's going to affect your score negatively. So I think the advice that we always give is to familiarize yourself with some of the more abstract topics for you. So, for example, you might have a lot of vocab or ideas for environment, but if it's social issues and crime, you may not. So have a look at some of the past topics and then see if you can develop your ideas according to a topic that you might find difficult to respond to. But in that case, it's better to put something on the paper than nothing. But obviously, if your ideas are off topic, then it is going to affect your score negatively.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that. Just to say as well, Win, that the example you've given, you said, for example, if I say the rich through inheritance are not considered to be successful, if you say that, and that's a main point in your essay, as long as you give a reason for that idea and you give an example to support it, I don't think you'll lose any marks there. In fact, that could be the basis of a strong essay, because you're making a point and you're giving reasons for it, and the point is connected to the question about wealth and success. So as long as you're answering the question and you're giving reasons and examples, there isn't really a right or wrong answer, as long as you can justify your opinion. Okay, that would be my suggestion there. Goodbye, Tran. Thanks for joining us. Hope to see you again soon. Thank you, Gideon, as well, for the feedback. That's nice to hear. Richard, the turnaround time for marking is usually within 24 hours, but we aim a maximum of 48 hours. So if you do use the writing evaluation service, you'll get your essays back very soon. Okay. Let's see. A question here from Anonymous. It's about vocabulary. Could you explain the difference between indicator and indication and how to use them in a sentence?
So indicator is going to be something that states a level of something. Yeah. Depending on how you write the sentence, you could actually use them in the same way. Yeah. An indication of could also be used in the same way. It just depends on how you actually write the sentence, how you word the sentence. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, quite similar, aren't they? You could say, wealth can be an indicator of success. Wealth can be an indication of success. I think, a lot of the time they would be close to interchangeable. One thing you could do to check that actually is to use a website like Just the Word. It's a corpus website, justtheword.com. And if you type in indicator, it'll give you common collocations that go with indicator. And indication, it will do the same. And you can see some words it will collocate with and some words it won't. So that will help to give you an idea of some of the more subtle differences between the two. Yeah. Excellent. Yep. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Win. Thank you, Alejandra, as well. And Debo Prio, welcome. Rhea, I'm looking for your question, but I can't see it. Could you add it to the Q&A and we'll do our best to answer it, okay? Let's see. Question from Tran, who's asking, is the example answer short? Could you go back to the last slide and we'll see how...
Just close this off. There we go. So we got 255 words. So not short. Yeah. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I think it fully answers the question. So it's above the word count. So now, trying to answer your question, it should be long enough. Quick question from Luong. How long should I spend for task 2? And how many minutes should I spend to prepare before writing in the test?
Well, it's a good question. I guess it depends on how competent you are at writing. And also now you can take the test, the computerized test and the written test. So some people are quicker at typing, some people are quicker at writing. I think the best indicator is when you're practicing to time yourself and first see how long it's taking you to write task 1 and task 2. And then I would suggest, you want to be looking at 3 to 5 minutes to try and have a rough outline. And then you want to give yourself 3 to 5 minutes preferably 5 if you can, to go through and just proofread to make sure that you haven't made any errors. But that's, you know, that's a broad range there, obviously, because people are so different with their writing speed or typing, as the case may be now. But just as an example, I would say that is a good way to do it.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. Just make sure you give yourself enough time to analyze the question, to understand what you're being asked, and to make a plan as well. And, you know, that could be 3 to 5 minutes. It could be, you know, 5 to 6 or 7 minutes, depending on the question. But make sure that you've got a clear idea of what you need to write to answer the question before you start writing. Okay. Okay, Rhea, I can see your question there. And this is a good one. If we want to use the word wealth in the passage, how many times can we repeat a word, you know, before we'll start losing marks? I think a lot of students worry about repeating words too often. Is it a problem for you know, is there a maximum number of times you can repeat a common word like wealth?
I think sometimes you might, for example, in task 1, it might be unavoidable for you. There might only be a few other synonyms to use with those words. There's no defined maximum. The repetition is really about structure. If you're repeating a very repetitive structure throughout, obviously you want to vary your vocabulary as much as you can. But there's no hard or fast rule when it comes to examiners' rating. It would just have to look as you read it. If it read very repetitive and it was mentioned every other sentence or something like that, then that's obviously going to have a negative effect, as well as a repetitive structure. But it's best to try and, you know, use synonyms and vary the vocabulary as much as you possibly can, really.
Yeah, if I could just add a caveat to that, which is it's important to show that you can paraphrase in order to get a higher band for vocabulary. However, if you start using words inaccurately and you're paraphrasing with very unusual or inappropriate words, then you're likely to lose marks there because you're using the words inappropriately. So I would say that if you're not sure about having an accurate paraphrase, then just stick with the same word, repeat the same word. You know, we've repeated the word wealth, I think, and health like many times, and success many times in this essay, because there's only so many ways of expressing that idea. So we've said a successful life, being successful, and you won't lose marks for that. It's better to be clear and to be easy to understand than it is to try to change it every time. That would be my suggestion there.
Yeah, I think one of the things that happens is that a lot of students want to change it all the time. So and what happens is they look at a dictionary and then they're using archaic words that are no longer in use. And then it's completely inappropriate. So yeah, I agree with you. Keep it, you know, if you're not sure, just keep it simple, really.
Yeah, exactly. Just because a word has the same meaning in a thesaurus doesn't mean that the usage of that word is the same, you know, so sometimes it won't be appropriate. Great. So guys, thank you, Nu, for joining us. It's nice to hear. A few quick questions from Esther. Esther, is this fill in the gap for the reading part, or is it a passage? Esther, I think this is not the same type of question you'll get in the reading. This is just, we use a gap fill to show, to help you develop your vocabulary for the writing. So it will be a different question type in the reading test, not the same as this one. Let's see. I saw, was it Bushra, you had a question there, but I can't see your question. If you can add it to the Q&A, we'll do our best to get round to it. Question here from Anonymous, who is asking, are the introduction and the conclusion a little bit long compared to the two body paragraphs?
Well, I think then they're fine. I mean, you know, you don't want a 10-sentence introduction or conclusion, really. I think these are fine. You know, 2 or 3 sentences for both. I would suggest probably 2 for a conclusion and 2, possibly 3 for your introduction, depending on the question type, and that's fine. You know, yeah. I think you've got to be careful of kind of being hung up on the word count for your introduction, word count for body 1, word count for body 2. You know, it's difficult to write like that. It's just got to be kind of natural, I think.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd say, you know, a typical rule of thumb is around 50 words for the intro, 50 words for the conclusion, 75 words for each body paragraph. Now that's very rough, but you know, your body paragraphs don't have to be too much longer than the intro and the conclusion. Just, you know, you'll need it to give them a bit more attention. Okay. Related to that, Claudine has a question. Can I make separate paragraphs for a separate paragraph for my opinion just before the conclusion? So essentially you have 2 kind of concluding paragraphs, 1 for my opinion, 1 for the conclusion.
So she's talking about this particular essay or in general?
I think in general, yeah.
In general, yeah. I mean, you can do that. I think she's probably talking about discuss both sides and give your opinion.
Yeah.
You can do that. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Yeah. So, you know, it may make your essay quite a bit longer. So, but, you know, there's not necessarily anything wrong with that, I don't think.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think particularly for that question type, discuss both views and give your opinion. You know, one logical structure could be discuss view A, discuss view B, give your opinion, body paragraph C, and then summarize. You know, that's one possible approach for sure. And yeah.
I think also, if you read the question is basically telling you discuss both views, okay, and give your opinion. So it would be logical to put another paragraph. But yeah, for sure, that's not really an issue with that.
Yeah, excellent. Yep, thanks for that, Katerina. You can definitely watch the session again on our YouTube channel. I'll just put the link to that in the chat now. So the recording of the session should be up tomorrow. You'll be able to catch it again there. My screen's just slowed down a bit, so it might take a moment for that to appear. Good. Let's see. So time for a few more questions. We have a question here again about vocabulary. If I use very simple vocabulary, would it affect my score?
If you've used it accurately, you could still get a decent score. But remember, if you're going for the higher band scores, then if you look at the descriptors, then it's all about having a good range and using the vocabulary accurately, and also having a good knowledge of, they say, idiomatic language and collocation. So words that are used often together, as we pointed out there through the presentation with collocations. So you could probably score okay, but you're not likely to be getting into the 7/8s if you're just using simple vocabulary.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, question. Yeah, a couple of people have asked about punctuation. How important is punctuation to avoid losing marks?
Well, it is important. So it's in the descriptors, the control of punctuation there. So it is important. So it's an area that I think a lot of students don't pay enough attention to. So it is important. So you've got a mixture. Once you're going up the higher band scores, you need to be using a mixture of simple and complex sentences. So that's where punctuation is going to play a part in that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely important. It's one of the criteria. Question from Oppo. This is a good one. So if the question is agree or disagree, is it okay to answer in the last paragraph or in the first paragraph? Which is better? Should I, say my opinion, I think, in the first paragraph, or should I leave it till the conclusion?
That's a good one, actually. You could begin with your points for disagree and then give your point on why you agree below that. Yeah, I mean, realistically, you could probably do it anyway, but I guess I'm just trying to think. This question came up with one of my students just the other day, and we were looking at this. The best way to do it, you could probably do it anyway, but I would probably start off with maybe why you disagree, and then at the second body, you're putting why you agree. So, or you could actually concede in that also.
Yeah. I think I would agree with that. And welcome, Sanjar. I know you're a bit late. We're just taking questions just now, but welcome to the session. I think in terms of giving your opinion, I would suggest giving your opinion in the introduction, and then giving the reasons for your introduction, for your opinion, and then restating your opinion again in the conclusion. I think that can help make your structure very clear. So you don't have to do it. You can discuss both sides and then give your opinion. But often giving your opinion at the beginning helps you to then build on that through the essay. So that would be my suggestion for that. Let's see, guys, we have just a few minutes left, so we'll try and get through as many of your questions as we can. If we don't cover your question in today's session, you can add them as comments on our YouTube channel. The video for this session will be up tomorrow. Any questions you have, add them as comments. We do check the YouTube and we'll write replies to your questions as soon as we can. So the link to that is in the chat at the moment. So let's see. Question here from Rishab, which is, I tend to go to around 300 to 325 words at least, which leads to repetition of vocabulary. What do you have any tips to keep the essay concise?
You're probably using too many examples, I think. So you would want to cut down on the examples, maybe. Maybe you're giving too many examples in each paragraph. So that's one way of keeping things, under 300 words, maybe. I mean, if it's very repetitive, then obviously it's going to, negatively affect your score. If you want to write 300 words and it isn't, then that's not a problem. But maybe give fewer examples in your body paragraphs.
Yeah, definitely. Just 2 or 3 main points, give a reason, give an example. That's all you'll need for your body paragraphs. So hopefully that will help you maybe planning those main points at the beginning so that you know where your essay is going before you start writing, and then you won't need to write so much, or at least you'll know, that the maximum you're going to write. Fantastic. So guys, I'm afraid that we are out of time for the session today. So we're going to have to wrap up just now. Thank you very much for joining us today, and big thank you to Stephen for presenting.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Cheers, Stephen. As I said, the video will be up on our YouTube channel tomorrow, so you'll be able to watch it then. We have a number of other webinars and lessons on there as well, looking at vocabulary, looking at different aspects of the test, speaking, reading, academic task 1. You can catch up with all of them on the channel, and we'll be having more webinars in the next couple of weeks. So hopefully we'll see you there, see you in another session very soon. And yeah, if you have your exam coming up, best of luck to you. Okay, best of luck for those of you taking your test. Yeah, I'm sure you'll do great. Okay, so yeah, cheers, Stephen. Thanks again for today.
Thanks. Bye, guys. Bye, Jamie.
Cheers, guys. We'll see you soon. Bye for now. Might take a little while for the webinar to close down because my screen just freezes, but we'll see how we get on.
Okay. No worries.
Try this time. Okay. Oh, thanks very much, Asus and Lena. That's great. Thanks for the feedback. Much appreciated.